Radio City Indie Exchange, and all through September this month, we have none other than the celebrated duo Lost Stories being featured. And I have one half of the enigmatic duo with me, Rishab Joshi. Welcome.
Thank you guys so much for having me, and I'm happy to be here.
Such a pleasure to see you, even if it's through Zoom, Rishabh, because I believe the duo in general, you like working in isolation. I suppose y'all are very private as people and as artists, but I'm really glad that we are doing this. So, firstly, before we step into the whole discussion ahead, but I just want to firstly take this opportunity to congratulate you and the duo at large for the wonderful 2020 that you had. Both Mayani Merie and Noor were such wonderful releases. If I'm not wrong, they were supposed to be a part of an EP that you all had planned, but then you all released them individually. But such wonderful reception both songs received. So firstly, many congratulations on a successful 2020.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So I want to first get asking Rishabh as to why were they not a part of the, you know, I mean, why did the EP did not happen, which was, I think, which was the initial plan?
See, I mean, working on an EP or working on an album is such a personal process, right? You want everything from like the artwork, like the way the tracks are placed one after another. You want it to be a journey for the listener. You want it to be, like an experience. And for us to craft that, it's something that we have been doing since a long time, and we love doing it. You know, it's such a personal experience, and like sometimes we'll debate like what the track name should be for like hours and hours, at a go. But you know what happened with the pandemic and stuff like that, the show stopped completely. Before that, we had like a really good release schedule, and EP, we wanted to take some time out and be like, okay, now we're gonna like we made so much money throughout like the previous years, let's put it into the EP, let's craft it properly and everything. But since the pandemic happened, a lot of things were moved around, right? And the Mehndi Te Vavi, I think, came before, or no, maybe I'm not sure. It was like right during the pandemic. So it made sense for us to just put it out the way it is, and then figure out how to like make like a personalized EP a little bit later when we figure out how things are going to work from now on. And luckily, we are working on like 2 EPs at the moment. So I'm happy. Like, even if one thing didn't work out, like I have like way more music now, and like it's way more personal than the previous EP would have been.
It's fantastic that I mean, of course, we're going to talk about Mehndi Te Vavi, which is your recent release, upcoming release rather, which is which happens well in time, because of course we are bracing for the festive period, and nothing like Mehndi Te Vavi, because of course Navratri is coming, and I feel somewhere the song is truer to your roots, because both of you, I believe, are Gujaratis.
Correct. And especially like my family, my dad's a musician, and I have like personally grown up playing at Navratris, like, on stage. I used to be that little kid in the corner, just playing like the side percussions or something. And, it's so personal to us because, for us, we may be listening to like, electronica all day and stuff like that. But when we really want to escape, we come back to like, the Gujarati folk, Rajasthani folk, and that gives us some kind of peace that like all other kinds of music don't. So, like you said, this is very personal. Growing up in a Gujarati family, we were always exposed to this kind of music, and we are happy to bring like our touch to Mehndi Te Vavi.
If I may ask, I mean, since we are talking about origins, of course, when you come from a very traditional, I don't know if conservative or not, but I mean, music in general in a Gujarati household is, I mean, I may be wrong over here, but I don't think so. It's really I mean, it's really art is not something that necessarily blends into the Gujarati aesthetics. I mean, because it's always business, business, business. I think, the whole business prospect of it always more credentials for a Gujarati household. So as an upcoming artist, or, as an artist who was beginning, what was that first line of conversation that you had with your family when you were trying to convince them that this is what you wanted to do?
I consider myself very lucky because like music was always a part of my family. Like Everyone, my cousins were are musicians. Like we stay in a joint family, so like cousins are musician. My great grandfather used to play instruments at the Haveli and stuff like that. So music was not a very difficult conversation for me to have, honestly. Um, Also, I guess my parents figured out very early on that I'm not good at anything else. Might as well just do music. So, and it was something like everyone. No, honestly speaking, like ever since I was little, everyone was like, "Oh, music's just in his blood. He's just gonna do something in music." And that subconsciously kind of stayed, and it was sort of hardwired in my brain. So even when it comes to, like, say, I want to do things in music technology, but the root of it still remains music. And I mean, my name itself, Rishabh, is like the second note of the sargam. So, like, I don't think like I
Yes.
could have done something else. I think it was a very easy conversation for me to have with my family.
Of course, you may have had this, answer to set in so many, previous interviews, but um, meeting Prayag, who also hails from a Gujarati household himself. So how did this union happen? How did this duo fall in place? Because you stuck around together through thick and thin for 12 years. But how is it that, how did that happen? How did both of you come together and said, okay, and where did lost stories, where did this term fall in place? And why did this become your identity?
Sure. So, growing up in school, I had a little successful of a band. After that, in college, I had like a I was a part of a very miserable band. Like none of the people in the band knew like what to play, when to play, and like we were really bad. We would get insulted at all the college shows, everything. So right after college, there was a point for me to prove that this is not the right thing for me to do. I'm still good. I'll do some other kind of music. I'll be famous. Okay, that's the kind of point I wanted to prove to my bandmates. And
Yeah.
so I started listening. I started exploring different kinds of music, and trance music was like something I stumbled upon. I went ahead and I Googled, not Google that time. I think Yahoo search or something. I was like
Yeah.
best track of 2006. Okay, and a track from Above and Beyond came up. I heard it. My mind was blown. I'm like, this is the kind of music I want to create for the rest of my life. Um, but obviously these guys were international. There was no way for me to like get in touch with them and all that kind of. So I started looking for people like in Bombay in the same community who I can like get in touch with and who can teach me more about. I was so hungry for knowledge. Like I would do anything. So there was a website called Orkut. I'm pretty sure like back in the day
Yeah,
all
of
of
course.
us used it. So there was I found some group called Trans Producers in India, the community, and Prayag was the owner of it, and I hit him up. I'm like, dude, I mean, I had so much confidence that I'm like, I'm the next big thing. You have to train me. And true, it's true. I mean, like, I found emails from those days, and I'm literally telling him I'm the next big thing. I don't know how I had that kind of confidence. We got talking, and then we met a couple of times. And there was also this community, dance music community called Submerge. We used to organize
Yeah.
parties by like Nikhil Chinnappa used to run it. So that was my early exposure to dance music, and that's exactly how I started meeting Prayag. And then we wanted to make some money, so we started making music for other people. Like 50 rupees per track, 60 rupees per track. We used to make music for other people. And then we are like, you know what, let's do something of our own since we are already making music for other people. Let's make the trance music that we love to make, something that like, and that was one of our aims. And second one was to change the sound of Bollywood because that time it was that same old Bollywood remixes coming out. We get fed up of it. We were so tired of it. So these two
Right.
things we both were passionate about, and that's probably one of the reasons why both of us have stuck together with like in like through 12 years and I think more now. So and we still passionate about this. We still want to like change the sound of whatever we are listening to. These days you can't call it Bollywood, but like whatever is coming out these days, we still want to like change it. So we're still passionate about it. So yeah, I mean that's like the long and short of it.
It's interesting because you spoke about remixes, and some of the duo's biggest hits remain Vasigara.
Yeah,
All these spin-offs that you give to really popular tracks. There's Vasigara, of course. There's Alan Walker's Faded that you all worked upon. My Name Area Noor, and now even Mehndi Te Vavi, which has a I mean, these are all popular tracks which are already
Correct.
registered in a listener's mind,
Yeah.
because you source these tracks, you all want to give your own spin to it. um but at the same time, of course, like you rightly said, we are plagued with these absolutely horrible remixes right now these days. But without taking names, of course, we know who they are. But
Yeah.
I mean, some of these really priceless, timeless songs, that are ruined every day, in the name of remixes. Um,
100%.
so, as a creator yourself, how do you think can other musicians take a cue out of the process that y'all follow, or rather, where is it you think that they are? How do you think? Why do you think that they are getting it wrong, whereas y'all are getting it correct? Y'all, I mean, with y'all are not disturbing, y'all are not disrespecting the original creations, but of course, y'all are able to, carve your own identities with what you're putting out there.
See, I mean, there's like two approaches to making music, or like, revisiting classics. One is you do it
Yeah,
to completely surprise your audience. Like, I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. Vasigra is one of our
sure.
biggest hits, and I can't even call it my own track. It's literally,
Yeah,
I was playing the Alan Walker show. It was a big show, 10,000 people. I was gonna play, the first show was Bangalore, and I was like, how I had my set ready. Usually for the big sets, we have like an idea what we're gonna play, because like the fireworks and lights and all is sync to your music, right? Right before my flight, I'm like, how can I completely like blow their minds off? Okay. And then I was going through YouTube, and like this Jonita's cover of Vasigra came up. I called up Jonita. I'm like, can you send me the vocals of this? I just want to try something out. This was literally like 25, 30 minutes before I was about to leave for the airport. She sent me the vocal. I think that time TikTok was on, and like the Suburban track was just doing rounds. Everyone loved it, but no, it didn't have that personal Indian touch to it, right? Everyone loved it because of the video games and stuff. But to me, I was like, Bangalore needs to, like, um, they need to have as much fun during a Lost Story set than like, as much as they have during like an Alan Walker set. I just put these two tracks together. I played it. People went nuts. And then obviously I'd never wanted to put it out because I wanted to keep it for my sets. I wanted to be like, I can't call it my own. I can't, be like, oh,
yeah,
it's like my creation. But it was an idea that I made just to like play during my live sets. A lot of my tracks, a lot of my edits came through this way. What we tried to do
yeah,
was we had no intention of making money from it. We don't have a formula. We have no agenda apart from just like blowing people's minds. When people start thinking from this point of view, that most of the music, like the horrible remixes that we talk about, is formula based. You can't differentiate
yeah,
one track from another. It's like literally like you
absolutely.
same singers, same arrangements, same techniques. Not much has changed there. So, and the music companies obviously know that once this comes out, it's gonna make money. Why not? Like, why fix something that's not broken? So they go ahead with
Yeah,
that form. But we have disruptors in our industry who
yeah.
do remixes in a really good way. Like, I can't think of anyone right now, but there are people who do it, and I'm just so like happy that there is a balance.
Rishabh, like you said, Vasigara. Now Mayani Meri happened, and now Mehndi Te Vavi. What is the magic behind this collaboration between Lost Stories and Jonita Gandhi? How does this magic keep happening over and over again?
Honestly, I'm such a big fan of her work, and like one of the main things is that whenever we are talking, we are like. It's like I'm thinking from her brain when it comes to music, and she's thinking from my brain when it comes to music, because we end up liking a lot of stuff that is not very common, but we like it. So when I hit her up and I told her, let's do a Gujarati track, and I sent her the link, she's like, Rishabh, this is so funny. This is the only Gujarati track I know, and this is the only Gujarati track that I can like sing. So it's some, like, you can't manufacture this. It's sometimes you have like a good um, collaborative like, what do you call, like, it's not even a thing that you can like make up. It's something that's there. And yeah, same with
Yeah,
Vasigra. Like Vasigra, I love growing up. We'd listen to it, and it had a certain vibe to it, and we just can't stop listening to it. She covered it. I was like, what can I do with this? And then I just went ahead, I made an edit of it. Same with Maini Meri, very personal
Yeah.
track to me, and I think Jonita was also like grown up listening to it. So I guess what it comes down to is that we both actually enjoy uh, what we are making. And
Yeah.
another great thing with Jonita is that she completely trusts what I do, and I completely trust like what she does. So that we collaborate with so many people, but like sometimes we just don't have that mutual trust that okay, I'm giving my best work to this person, he's gonna make the best use of it. That trust, I feel Jonita, like she's never like asked me for like a revision. I've probably asked her for like 1-2 revisions sometimes, but like she's never asked me for like any revisions or anything. So I guess it's both of these things.
Jonita, you have these wonderful collaborations with Akanksha Bhandari and with Zayden, who I believe is also like you're literally a home buddy. There's so much of mutual love and respect. And I think both Zayden and Lost Stories are the two emerging dynamic young electronica acts we have right now in the country after, of course, the established names out there, whether it's Nuclear, whether it's
Yeah.
Arjun Bagle, Karsh Kale, and the works. And all I want to say is this following now, this really millennial following that you enjoy across countries, across nationalities, where people are flocking in,
Yeah.
at your shows. I'm sure, of course, given the pandemic last year, that is definitely something you all must have missed. But now with things looking on the brighter side, with a lot of artists, now you know playing to packed venues again. Where do you see Lost Stories heading from here?
Sorry, can you repeat the last bit? I think the connection was just a bit off. Just the last bit.
Okay. Okay. So I'm asking, given the pandemic now, of course, y'all have missed, playing
Yeah.
at shows and, really enjoying the experience of crowds flocking in and really grooving along to your tunes. Now with things looking up slightly with, of course, the vaccination having improved things and a lot of artists, once again, looking to playing at closed door venues. Uh, where do you think um, does the live scene look up for Lost Stories?
So I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. I started DJing around like 15 years ago, maybe, and if seriously, okay, as not as Lost Stories, but as like as a DJ.
Yeah,
I never learned how to DJ, and like even if you wake me up like a couple of years ago, if you woke me up from my sleep and be like, we play the show, blindly I would play that show. But like in the last 2 years, I don't know, something has shifted. I haven't touched the decks since like the last almost like 1.5-2 years. Um, so I don't know if I want to go back on the scene as only a DJ. Maybe like some shows
mm,
that you just do it. My aim is to do like a proper live act and like with live
yeah,
musicians, and that's been the dream since like a really long time. And like luckily during the lockdown I was just alone in my house with just me and my thoughts, so I had the time to like lay the basis of it. So now I don't know which side it's going to go, how long it's going to take, but I guess the beginning of it was the most important thing, and it's only going to build from here. So that's my aim. Whenever it happens, probably we're still going to play more DJ shows for like like for another year or something. But the ultimate aim is to like come with like a proper produced show, and that's something that gives me goosebumps now. Just the way DJing gave me goosebumps like 12 years before, yeah. So that's what the plan is.
before we conclude, Rishabh, if I may quickly ask, which are the electronica acts today from our country that you personally enjoy as a listener?
Wow. Okay. Mm, so there's a bunch of people like
Yeah,
there's upcoming people. Like, I mean, obviously there's Ritwiz who's doing some amazing music. There's another like electronica artist called JP. He's from Delhi. He's
yeah,
also done some stuff on Mehndi Te Vavi. Then there is Somanshu, who's a young guy. Like we have done a bunch of stuff, music with him. We did a remix for Bhuvan Bam, and supremely
yeah,
talented. There's the guys from the Lost Stories Academy. I mean, there's Chimera, and then there is Vinik. All of them doing such good work, and obviously my like where's my head? Zayden, Yashraj, Arman Malik. All these guys are like they're not just artists; they are like real life inspiration to me. So every time they do something, I'm like, I need to get my ass back in the studio and like just like create something of their level. So yeah, all these people. So I mean, even Pradeep is like, he's been a major inspiration. His last album was crazy, and yeah. So these are the people I listen to now.
Can say is Rishabh that lost stories are not really lost as per as as their name suggests, but lost stories is an entity that the world looks up to. It's an entity that people in the indie music fraternity are proud of, and we can only wish you all the very best, and hope that you go places and more wonderful music keeps coming our way. All the best to both of you.
Thank you guys so much, and thank you for having me.
Radio City.